Good morning and welcome to Spotlight 92. I'm your host, Malvin Massey, and of course, every Thursday we talk to the movers and shakers of the Memphis community, the people that are making things happen for your benefit and mine. Our guest today is here to talk about her book, her TV show, and her entertainment group. Yes, that's right, an entertainment group. And she's a native Chicagoan, and she moved to Memphis in '99. She's finally called the Bluff City her home since then. She served on several charitable organizations, such as being a member of the International Children's Foundation and the Women's Foundation for Greater Memphis and the Commission on Missing and Exploited Children. She's also co-founder of the Tiara Tea Society, and we're going to ask her about that, and was the chair for Go Red for Women. But more importantly, Marie is a full-time hands-on mother of two. And she's our guest this morning, Marie Pizano. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming by to talk with us. How could you find time in your busy schedule?
It's called time management. Everyone always asks me that, but when you love what you do, it's not work.
Yeah, well,
you know.
Well, so we have to break it down. What you do, you first of all, we'll talk about the book first. I guess. From barefoot to stilettos, it's not for sissies.
Yes, it's not.
Is that a biography, an autobiography?
It's a memoir. It's a book I wrote. Pretty much tells you my life story. I mean, it goes back, the beginning to when my grandfather, how he got here to America, and my relationship with him, and from birth to, that's why I call it from barefoot to stilettos. From birth, we all come out barefoot, right? And then now in stilettos, meaning a metaphor for empowerment, what it took for me to get here to where I'm at.
To where you are now. And that's always an interesting story. And that's why we call this Spotlight.
It's not for sissies. Just as we all know, life is just not for sissies,
Life is difficult always as it is. What made you decide to write about it?
Well, I woke up one day, and if I could throw out a name, Kenny Loggins. I think we all know who he is. Yes. And I went out to lunch with him, and I'll tell you that whole story, how my life just, is so crazy, who comes in my life. But I was at lunch with Kenny Loggins, and I was telling my story and everything, and he goes, "You know what, Marie, you got to go see that movie Network." And it was with Faye Dunaway. And in the whole theme of the movie, he gets up and says, "I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore," basically. And that's what I did. I pretty much woke up one day and I kept so much in me. I really wanted to give an intern a job, like a writer job. And, at the time it just all fell into place. And I just said, let's write a book. Let me tell, why do people wait till they're like 70, 80 to write a book? I want to tell my story now. I got something to say. But also my marketing mind, I knew if I put a book out there and I get this done, and we'll go into what I do, but again, I have this company, MVP3 Entertainment Group. It's a film company, music publishing, talent management. I busted out and I said, I'm creating an entertainment powerhouse. Now, what crazy woman says that? You know what I mean? But I knew if I got my story out there and I showed you what I'm doing, that's going to create attention, right? You would think. Right. And if I got it out there and I succeeded, this book could, pretty much be the starting horse to everything I want to do. And not only would it help my dreams come true, but it will put spotlight on everything else that I'm doing and who I'm working with. So there was really a mission. I'm a visionary. So this was part of it.
What were you into before the entertainment and everything? Was that where you were focused before?
When I was younger, on the cover of the book, you'll see a picture of me having one barefoot, on this motorcycle that is laying on the ground, meaning I defeated that motorcycle. I was in a motorcycle accident, and the other foot is in a pair of stilettos. But what I did, I was, on boards that help women and children. But back in the day, I was headed to Hollywood. I was on my way to do something. I was defeating odds at my age. But unfortunately, at age 18, when I was ready to leave for LA, couple weeks before, I ended up in a motorcycle accident, almost lost my leg, and literally centimeters away from the main artery, I could have been dead. So like that, my life changed, my dreams, everything. So yes, I was in this industry, but now here we are 20-something years later, or more than that. I'm back to where I was supposed to be, in other words. And just by fate, with being on these boards that help women and children, I was working with St. Jude at the time, and I created an event called Rock for Hope. And it was a concert I put together for the children of St. Jude, and it was different genres of music on Beale Street at the New Daisy. I happened to be in Nashville right before it, and I met these guys called the Mulch Brothers. They were a country rock band. I didn't have that. My vision of this concert was kind of like the mini Woodstock, all different genres of music and everything. And I had them come, and right after the whole thing, they just looked at me and they're like, "You need to be our manager." And I was like, "Are you guys smoking something?" Or, what do you mean manager? I'm like, I had no clue, but it intrigued me because they were smart. They said, "Marie, not many women do this." And at the time I was on the board also for Women's Foundation for Greater Memphis, so that women empowerment stuff, pumping. Exactly. So long story short, went back and forth to Nashville. And to be honest, what I really saw was Nashville's got it going on. It's a music business.
It sure is.
Here, we are a music scene. And I was like, we are sitting on gold mines here. What are we doing, And as I researched the background from Stack's history of musicians, how musicians get taken advantage of, I'm going to be honest here, and
any musician can
even going back from history, from Isaac Hayes' time and all that, if you really look at what's, they were taken advantage of, and their families are fighting to get their publishing and things like that. And remember how I went back and I said, remember what I just said about I was darn mad, not going to take it anymore? This was all building in me. All this knowledge I was finding out, and I was like, why can't Memphis get it together with this? We are sitting, like I said, on a gold mine, and nobody comes together. And, really, if you really look at it from the history of them getting taken advantage of, why would they? Or who are they going to trust? So I was looking at all this, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to build this. And as God is my witness, I'm going to bring people together, because my theory is you got sticks, I got a match, and together we make a fire. And coming from Chicago, I grew up in a melting pot from Jewish, Catholics, African American, Polish, Italian, Latin.
Yeah.
I'm used to it all.
That's a very cosmopolitan city, very much more so than Memphis, too.
Yeah, but coming here, I was like my cousin. You ever see that movie, My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah.
And you remember Marissa Tomei? She gets plopped in this southern town, and they're all like, she's crazy. That's what I felt like. Or like Kevin Bacon in Footloose.
What made you come to Memphis?
Well, he's now my ex-husband. We're friends now, so I could say that, or say. But when you read my book, it was war, okay? It wasn't for sissies. But he got a job offer here that, we really couldn't refuse. It was a great job offer. And I was thinking, well, what's so Elvis, and wow, Memphis, it's got, what's so, it's only an hour and a half away, what could be so different? And so, but he got a job offer here, and he came here first, and I packed up, Chicago came, in November of 1999, and where we lived was a gated community, and, it was, I was like, wow, wowed with this. But when I first came here, this is when the Grizzlies weren't here yet. So when I went downtown, I'm thinking, this is Memphis. Wow, place where Elvis and rock and roll and all that. But really, when I went downtown, there's nothing.
Disappointing.
Yeah. So I wasn't in Kansas or Chicago anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was a big change. Yeah. But I wanted to rock this city. I really did.
Well, it looks like you've gotten a good start.
Yeah.
If you just tuned in, by the way, this is Spotlight 92. We are talking with Marie Pizano, who is I saw it said co-founder of MVP3 Entertainment Group.
Well, I'm
but
founder.
I thought you were the founder of it.
No, I'm founder. I don't know where co-founder.
Well,
co-founder of maybe TRT Society or something like that.
Yeah,
but no.
On the website. It was on the website. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Co-founder.
No, I'm CEO and founder, darn it.
The thing that I read was that you started the company.
Yeah.
So MVP3 Entertainment Group. Right now, since you started it, what made you start it, as a matter of fact, the entertainment group?
Well, when the Mulch Brothers asked me to manage them, I mean, I was green. I didn't know, anything about it, but I just...
that's involved. It's coming from being the manager of a group to founding a whole group.
Well, it kind of merged. I mean, I am a visionary, but when the Mulch Brothers, they asked me to manage them, I said, okay, well, how are we going to do this? Give me a list of goals. What is any artist, what are their goals? I want to be signed by a label. I want my songs in movies. And, they gave me this whole list. So that's what I did. And we just I got them signed, through Savannah Music Group. I got, things going on. Well, one of the things they wanted their song in a movie. So we had, talk about Memphis getting some hits. We had this, what I call this bad movie producer come in and, I don't know the whole story, but rumor was he took everyone's money and never made the film. The film was never done, one of them. And all I wanted to do was get the Mulch Brothers songs in that film. So, but then I ended up meeting Nicholas Salozzi, who was one of the line producers, and he had a project in the mix, and it was called Momo, the Sam Giancana story.
Yeah.
So I personally invested, make a long story short, I wanted to learn the industry because I'm like, if we go back to the day, you remember Paramount Pictures, when back in the day they owned their actors, they produced their own music, and they produced their own films. Gosh. I had this vision of, that's why it's MVP3, film, music, but my company does give back, so that's why it's community. But I saw this just one night, whether it's God or something planted this seed in my head, and I got this burning desire and then looking at the history and looking at what we have here, we're sitting on a gold mine.
Yes, we are.
So you know what? I'm going to go do this. And remember I told you, like, when my leg accident, motorcycle accident, my life changed? Well, back then I was in the entertainment industry, but then I ended up getting in the workforce with accounting and financial. And I ended up working for a man named Richard Sander. Richard Sander is in Time magazine as one of the most influential people of finance. I worked for this man. He's a genius around the world when you look him up. Sold one company for over $600 million. So when I had this vision, I went knocking back at my old boss's door and I said, Richard, I want to build this. What you created out of an idea and now change the world. I have something and I want to come back here and change Memphis. And he's helped me with this vision.
And plus the fact you have that experience in finance and managing.
Yeah, well, that's what I saw going back and forth to Nashville and Memphis. Yeah. You know what? Memphis is the business scene. We're a music scene. And you need that business end. And even in Nashville, some of the things were crumbling, like labels and everything, because you know what happens? Creative doesn't mix with business because both minds, creative doesn't have a business mind. Right.
Not anymore. It used to be Columbia Records and Johnny Mercer's label. Those labels, they would give the artist their room, and they would live on the creativity of the artist. And then they got business and decided whatever path you've taken. Kirk Whalum is my example for that. Yeah. He was working with Columbia.
I love Kirk.
He was coming up with all sorts of great music and everything with it. He wanted to make a little change in the format that he was using. They wouldn't let him do it. So
because business mind doesn't get the creative mind, and fortunately for me, I have a mother who's an artist. I have a dad who's more of an engineer, scientific person. So I have that right brain, left brain. Thankfully, God gave me something like that. And so I was able to like look at both worlds, and that's how I merged this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can dig that.
Yeah.
So have you picked up, how long have you been doing the management company?
The management company I've been doing since I met the Mulch Brothers, so that was 2005, 2006. And I came out with, MVP3 is the holding company for my film company, music publishing company, and my talent management company. So that's the three. That's the trifecta. You know, so
should be three people sitting over there.
I know.
But have you found very much talent here in Memphis?
I have, and again, you know, when I was going back to like, you know, some artists, they don't have that business mind, so it's really hard for me to find that artist that could speak those two languages because, you know, sometimes they don't understand that business end, and they think when they sign, you know, some of these artists think they're going to sign with a manager and they're going to have the world and they got $1 million check and everything. I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't work like that. You got to work, one. Two, you got to build a fan base, and this is how business, and you got to keep track of your monies, you know, and as much as, like I always tell them, you got to keep majority of yourself, you know, and you know, half of them, when I researched the people that they signed with or things that, you know, it's amazing the business end that they don't know. So it's very hard. I have found some, but again, sometimes artists get involved what I call the worm tongues. And, you know, the people out there that tell them, I call them the worm tongues because, you know, if nothing's happening, and again, they're on a fast track. They want to make it big. They don't realize you got to pay your dues, right? Yeah. Well, when other people come in and say, "Oh, she's not doing anything for you. I could do better," and then, you know, this is some of these artists. They flew the coop because they thought they were going to have something better, and now they don't. And so it takes work. And to find that kind of artist that has that mind, again, you got sticks, I got a match, together we make a fire. It's not, I signed with you and I'm going to make a golden record right now. You know what I mean? But I did find someone, his name is Chris Hill. We released 2 of his songs on iTunes now, and it's Alone With You and Back in His Arms. And he is a talent. He is this, he could play anything you could think of, but he's one to watch here. I mean, he really is.
I'm in the radio scene of Memphis, but I haven't been in the music scene very much in the last 10 years, 15 years or whatever. And there's so many young artists out there right now here in Memphis that are performing that I'm not familiar with. I haven't heard.
I'm not either. And
Black. I just recently found out about him, and he's supposed to be doing quite well. A Memphis version of Michael Bublé, as it were.
Wow.
And there are a lot of these artists who are around in town that.
But they don't know how to promote themselves either. And I promote the heck out of everything, you know. but you know, it's just building. It's getting word out there. And, you know, speaking about, you know, like a lot of these artists I don't know about, or they don't know about me because, you know, they really don't understand. And so that's why I created the MVP3 TV show, The Making of an Empire.
Yes. So if you just tuned in, by the way, once again, this is Spotlight 92. We're talking to Marie Pizano, who is the founder of the MVP3 Entertainment Group. And, the TV show, I didn't know about that either. Yeah. And it's on Channel 30.
Mm-hmm. What I did from the beginning of creating all this, again, being a visionary, I just decided to film everything because I thought one day we might need all this. And so all my interviews, all the things that I've been doing, I made record of it, you know, filmed it. Yeah. And so what I did was we created this show to show you this journey, you know, not only as an entrepreneur, but what it takes in the business. I mean, you have fun, but there is work. I mean, there's a lot of trials and triumphs, and, you know, so what I've done is try to put this all into visually so you could see what it's taking to make this empire.
Okay.
And that's what you could catch on, every Sunday on CW30 at 6:30 in the morning.
It's
early, but you could tape it. Yeah.
MVP3
TV show. The Making of an Empire. Yeah.
Wow. And it's ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Every Sunday. Yeah.
Well, I'll be doggone. How long has that been happening?
It's now in its third month. So the whole month of it started in November, and you could catch every Sunday they show the November show. In December, and now if you go to, I think it's my Facebook page now, the MVP3 Entertainment Group Facebook page, you could go and see the last episodes that are posted up on there too.
Well,
so
I know I'm skipping back and forth, but in the idea of management, it occurred to me, do you have any one genre that you are favoring, or is this something that if an artist in town who really has talent, there are a lot of people who think they have talent,
right?
And they are, but if there's an artist who really has talent, does he have to particularly have a genre? It can be anything? Or?
No. When I started with country rock, and then I ended up working with Billy Falcon, who writes with Bon Jovi. I mean, that was a milestone, and so with Billy, with that genre, he came from Stevie Nicks, Meatloaf, Bon Jovi, so that was a different, thing. And then, which I have to say, Bon Jovi I love. And I got to go on tour with Billy that he opened. And when Bon Jovi was here, I just got to say this because I'm a little kid. When I was working with Billy and he opened up for Bon Jovi when they were here a couple years ago in May, they said, "Thank you, Marie," and MVP3. I was like, yes, so that's my main milestone right there. Well, like working with that, I work with Chris Hill. He's more pop and all that. But then I had Mac Rod, he's still kind of under my label. We have a song called I Cantina. It's more rap, and he's from Orange Mound, Tennessee. So it's really, it's whatever I feel and whatever, and really it's the artist, when you believe in something. So I do have that old school mentality where like when you feel it, I want to bring it back like how back in the day, they all got on a bus, in all different genres of music. And that's what I see. And I learned a lot from John Bon Jovi and what he's doing and why for over the years, he's successful. And if you go back to that movie, That Thing You Do, remember with Tom Hanks, and it's about the, back in the 50s, 60s, and, with Johnny Cash and all them, that's what you got to do. I even went to David Porter and I told him, that was my idea, by the way, I'm going to say it. I went back to David and I said, I want to take old school with new school ways. And that's how we're going to be able, these artists are going to, get it going on again.
And that's the way for them to progress. We've been running the season of Jazz on the Side. It's a program that we get out of Nashville. Austin Belmer produces it. It's about jazz artists that you don't hear very much about, but he did this last thing we did about Miles Davis, and there was a 2-part series about Miles. And one of the things, a lady asked Miles, what did he do? He said, I invented jazz 3 times. But, the idea being that Miles Davis did change along with music, along with the moods. And he kept up. He was, until he died, he was still top name in jazz. Wow. And that's the old school way of doing things. So these guys used to do it. You have to adjust and adapt.
When I had this vision, I went to Boo Mitchell. You know who Boo is from Royal Studios, and that's when when I was starting this vision and everything, and I met with David Porter and all of them. They all thought I was crazy. They really did. But Boo didn't. He saw what I was, trying to accomplish, and we're working together now on films. I have my book is being made into a movie. I partnered with Red Thread Pictures, yes, and the book inspired a movie that's kind of like an Aaron Brockovich, Rocky Balboa, working girl kind of film. The characters, Whitney, and I got Boo Mitchell involved to do the soundtrack, help me with the soundtrack, and also we brought on David Z. He produced Purple Rain won awards for Prince, Billy Idol, and all that. And he used to live here in Memphis for a little bit. And he worked with Etta James. And so them two, I have one heck of a power team right there working on my soundtrack. So, but, you know, like I said, going back, and Boo, the way they record there, like the old school way, I mean, I love that. I mean,
changed in 30 years, 40
you know,
years now.
this is what I feel. This is my opinion. You know, we got to go back to old school, but again, new school ways. But they had it going on and they had something. Why the heck did we change it? Why? Because business got involved. You know, we got to get to that creative thing again, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, now, but you talk like a CEO, and from my years with the AFL-CIO and Teamsters and like that, I don't like CEOs. But at the same time,
I'm a cool CEO. I come from the South Side Chicago, you know.
But at the same time, though, you're involved with so many community projects, and community programs. Now, what drives that?
Well, my mother really, you know, when she, and if I may, I do talk about this in my book, my family is all in the military. I mean, my grandfather came here from Italy, you know, deterred to Mexico, and then came to the United States, a path we will never understand. But he served in World War II. All my uncles, I come from a huge family. All of them were Army, Navy, all of it. My cousins, I was the only one that didn't go. I would have been like Saving Private, you know, Benjamin or something, you know, but Goldie Hawn, you know. But they were all about service, you know, and the way my family, you know, just their structure. And my mother, when she was younger, she was sexually abused by a friend of the family, or I could say friend or somewhat of the family. And when I was younger, I was 13 years old, and I remember sitting there with her while she was being interviewed by a newspaper journalist. And the reason being is because she started Child Find for Missing and Abused Children, a chapter. And my mother was always in these, she did Jerry Lewis, muscular dystrophy, you know, she put on all these fundraisers, you know, and when she was being interviewed and they asked her, well, why did you start all this? You know, what motivates you, whatever. She goes, well, here's the deal. There's two roads you could take. You could play victim or do something about it. Her words, she goes, I picked up my panties and I moved on and I created Child Find.
That's pretty strong.
That's strong. And that mama of mine, she has built that's foundation in me. And, you know, the thing about giving back, and you know what, it is about, we're supposed to be helping each other. If we're all supposed to be Christians and this is the Bible Belt, look at what the Bible really says. It means help one another. Don't matter if you're African American, white, purple, green, blue with 3 eyeballs. You know what? We're supposed to help each other. And you know, that's what it's about, giving back. And when you give, you get back. You know, I never understand this mentality of competition or anything, but I don't know. It's just in me, in my DNA. You got sticks, I got a match. Together we go make a fire, because it's not just one person that could do this.
Yeah,
it takes a team.
A village.
Yeah, a village to raise a child, right? So what do you think this all is? We gotta get this going on. You know, I hear everyone talking about it, but you know what? Yeah, walk the walk, you know, and that's what, going back to I'm darn man not taking it anymore, I just strapped on those stilettos and I said, you know what, I'm going to go walk and I'm going to go kick down doors and I'm going to do what I got to do to get this done. And if you speak my language, you're coming with me. You're now in the family. We're going to get this done, you know.
That's an inspirational story, to be sure it is.
Yeah.
And the company is MVP3 Entertainment Group. Now, so what's going on new? What we're running down here, but what's going on?
Well, right now we just tonight, actually, I know, you know, it'll be, but we just released the app, the MVP3 Entertainment Group app. It's a free app. It's available on Android and iPhone. That's a huge thing, because now it's the world of MVP3, but it's going to eventually, as we tweak this, incorporate I want to partner with you, get jazz on there, it's about film music community. So this app is going to really be the all of films, music, and community, And then what we got going too is Chris Hill. He's releasing his, new CD in March. And then Momo, the Sam Giancana story, the movie that we won awards for and that I was involved in, we're going to bring it back to Malco Theaters.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's coming up, and we have Memphis at the Movies review show that we're going to interact with community, and that'll be at Malco Theaters, and there's a lot. Yes, I love Jimmy. I love him. Yes, Jimmy. I'm mentioning you. Yeah,
he's a grand supporter of the radio station.
That's awesome. He's awesome. And then there are more things that I am not at liberty to say, but, the movie. We are filming this movie this year, actually 2 of them. One is called Barefoot to Stilettos. The other one's called Shattered. And those are both going to be filmed here in Memphis and a little bit in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Wow. Well, that's a lot for people to swallow and grasp at one time, and there's also a lot going on, and you seem to be the center of it all.
I'm the secret sauce is what I say to all the team. Yeah.
Well, Marie Pizano. Marie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me on.
And I can't wait for MVP3 Entertainment Group and WUMR to get involved with
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You got sticks, I got a match. Together we're going to make a fire. Yep.
All right. And this has been Spotlight 92. We'll do it again next week. Oh, by the way, MVP3 Entertainment Group, MVP3media.com. That's how you find it. And this has been Spotlight 92. We'll do it again next week. In the meantime, you're back for more of the best in jazz. This is U92 FM.